Krishna, somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can do.
Good.
Om Ajnatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swam Padantikam Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Yutabadakamaram Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasaitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakanitamscha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते ताप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय पुत्रे श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनित नमस्ते सरस्वती गौरवाणी प्रचंड विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4. Let's begin with you all explaining one or more points and asking one or more questions from before.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Last time we discussed 6 questions. I will cover the first one. Why is a serpent is considered envious of other living entity? Serpent's tendency is always to bite out of envy. Same applies to material world. Puffed up people, especially in material world, are compared to serpent and milk. When it is touched, it becomes poisonous. Material assets in the, like good education, parenting, beauty, wealth, etc. When we decorate persons who are proud of such material assets, is detrimental. Unless one is Krishna conscious, without attachment to material possessions, the values of this is zero. When user is in Krishna consciousness, Hare Krishna.
Okay, so serpent by nature is envious of other living entities, and serpent bites even when the other person is not at fault. All right, very good. Mother Jija.
Prabhuji, Krishna conscious devotees do not identify with the body. So offering respect to a Vaishnava means offering respect to Vishnu. It means we are offering respect to the super soul sitting inside the body of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava sees the body as a temple of Vishnu, Prabhuji.
All right, very good.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I can try the question number 3. Explain what is Shuddha Sattva existence. So when one is fully conscious, one is in his pure transcendental position, transcendental or original constitutional position. And this state of existence is called Shuddha Sattva, which means that there is no association with material activities. He is transcendental to all the material qualities. And all the activities of material consciousness stop here. And another aspect is Shuddha Sattva is also technically is a transcendental position, which is also technically called Vasudev, because it's that state of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is revealed without any covering, Prabhu.
All right, very good. Chandan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. The analogy of the fourth one about the person of material sense, wherein when qualities of good education, good parentage, beauty, wealth, or misplaced in a person who is puffed up with by all these possessions, they produce very bad results. For example, milk touched by an envious serpent automatically will be impure and get poisonous, whatever be the quality of that one. Similarly, because of envious and proud quality of all other opulences and good qualities, the reality is polluted. The conscious is not accepted. This is the analogy, what I think.
All right, very good. The analogy that material assets are harmful just as milk becomes poisonous by the touch of a serpent. All right, very good. Rest of you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, that anyone engaged in unadulterated devotional service to the Lord at once elevated to the possession of Brahman. That is why one must follow the rules and regulations without desires to gain material profit by fruitive activities or mental speculations, which is Vasudeva.
All right, very good.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, in the 17th verse, there was another reference that was given. If we don't have Krishna, who is one, with any material position, with any zeros, 100 zeros added or having zeros also would be zero. If there is no one, it is of no value. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
All right, very good. Any questions? Anybody?
Prabhuji, in question 3, I wish to add some points which I realized. May
Yeah, go ahead.
the living entity constitutionally is pure. The soul is always uncontaminated. Identification of the body with the soul is due to misunderstanding. When one only Krishna conscious is pure and original and in constitutional position, this state is Suddha Sattva, which means transcendental to the material qualities. In this stage, it is direct action of only internal potency and not activities of material contamination. Example, iron put in the fire is warm. When it becomes red hot, it acts like fire. Hare Krishna.
All right, very good. Iron analogy example. All right, everybody. Any questions, comments, realizations from earlier?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I had one question. So when I was doing this answer for question number 6, when I was doing that analogy, I think it's in 23, Prabhu. Here in this purport, Sri Prabhupada says, in pure devotional service, one simply serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a matter of duty without any reason. So Prabhu, in pure devotional service, is there still duty existing? Or is it just love of Godhead, Prabhu, in love of Godhead, or not reached that stage, Prabhu, here?
So it depends on the rasa as well as elevation. So pure devotees don't have anything except service to Krishna. So their service to Krishna is their duty. That's all. See, there's no comparison to something else. Versus for somebody who's trying to get elevated, they should worship as a matter of duty, so that they can first come to Nishkam Karma Yoga and then elevate to Bhakti Yoga. Although the word duty is used for pure devotee, but it is transcendental duty, it has nothing to do with material duty.
Prabhu, and also it's not a, it's not a duty or something which he has to do. It's mostly spontaneous, no, Prabhu, for pure devotee?
Spontaneous also again depends on rasa. So not everybody is in the mood of love. Some would be pure devotees in the mood of awe and reverence. Well, they would then do it as a matter of duty that, okay, I have to wake up the Lord around 4 a.m. and then offer him the morning breakfast. So he does it as a matter of duty, right? It depends on the rasa.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, sir.
Rest of you? All right. So we'll now start Canto 4, Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is titled Sati Quits Her Body and is divided into 6 parts. Part 1, verses 1 to 5. Sati leaves Lord Shiva. Part 2, verses 6 to 10. Sati gets a cold response from Daksha. Part 3, verses 11 to 23. Sati condemns Daksha. Part 4, verses 24 to 27. Sati gives up her body. Part 5, verses 28 to 30. A great cry arises from the sky. Part 6, verses 31 to 34. Ribhus drive away Lord Shiva's attendants. So this chapter is also straightforward, and as I have explained that these first 7 chapters of Canto 4 are linked chapters. So it's just a continuation of the conversation that has been going on. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, can you repeat again part 6?
Part 6 is verses 31 to 34. Ribhu. So this word Ribhu, the name Ribhu comes in verse 31 onwards. You will see. Ribhus drive away Lord Shiva's attendants.
Thank you.
Is our dear Aditi able to read verse 1 and 2 translation and purports?
Hare Krishna. May I, Prabhu?
Yeah, go ahead, Kalyan.
Text 1. Purports and translations as well, Prabhu.
Correct.
The sage Maitreya said, Lord Shiva was silent after speaking to Sati, seeing her between decisions. Sati was very much anxious to see her relatives at her father's house, but at the same time she was afraid of Lord Shiva's warning. Her mind unsettled, she moved in and out of the room as a swing moves this way and that. Purport. Sati's mind was divided about whether to go to her father's house or obey the orders of Lord Shiva. The struggle between the two decisions was so strong that she was pushed from one side of the room to another and she began to move just like the pendulum of a clock. Text to translation. Sati felt very strong at being forbidden to go see her relatives at her father's house, and due to affection for them, tears fell from her eyes. Shaking and very much afflicted, she looked at her uncommon husband, Lord Shiva, as if she were going to blast him with her vision. Purport. The word Apratipurusham used in this verse means one who has no equal. Lord Shiva has no equal in the material world in regard to equality towards everyone. His wife Sati knew that her husband was equal towards everyone. So why in this case was he so unkind to his wife that he did not allow her to go to her father's house? This distressed her more than she could tolerate, and she looked at her husband as if she were ready to blast him with her vision. In other words, since Lord Shiva is the Atma, Shiva also means Atma, it is indicated here that Sati was prepared to commit suicide. Another meaning of the word Aprati Purusha is the personality who has no rival. Since Lord Shiva could not be persuaded to give her permission, Sati took shelter of a woman's last weapon, weeping, which forces her husband to agree to the proposal of his wife. Hare Krishna.
We'll discuss the last line. So, as Lord Shiva could not be persuaded to give Sati permission to allow her to go to her father's house, Sati took shelter of a woman's last weapon, weeping or crying, which forces a husband to agree to the proposal of his wife. I'm pretty sure all of you or most of you must have experienced either in person or it's from somebody else this crying of a woman to convince the husband. Now, I'll tell you that few Vaishnavis across all batches, when they have had offline chats with me about whatever miserable situations they have been going through, they have also tried to use this weeping and crying. And I'm pretty sure all those who have spoken with me, they would say that my response to them was very, very harsh. That why was my response harsh? Was because I was trying to get them out of the bodily concept of life, just as Sati describes in the last line in the purport, that Sati took shelter of woman's last weapon, weeping. Everybody have questions, comments, realizations on the experience of weeping?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
This I was relating when my Mataji was reading the purport, Prabhu. I was just imagining myself as a younger girl who was newly married. I remember, Prabhu, definitely I have used this as a weapon, Prabhu, to get the attention or the acceptance or, yes, Prabhu. Agree.
All right. The rest of you?
Prabhuji, just to seek a clarification. This crying comes out of emotion also. During emotion, they recollect the unwanted scenario in which the people experience pain or deluded. They feel that they were not fairly treated, or it was not a genuine things, and it is blamed. Such an emotion comes out of recollection of the scenario. What is your opinion, view, Prabhuji?
So, as male or as Vaishnava, are you saying you don't have emotions?
I have.
So,
That
do
is
you
what
cry?
I'm asking. Sometimes the tears comes out automatically.
Yeah, that's okay. Tears coming out is okay in emotions. But here, women deliberately use weeping or crying to get what they want. So, yes, emotions everybody has. But males, under emotional circumstances, they don't use the crying to get their thing, because we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita at the start, that males are rational versus women are emotional. So nothing wrong with this fact. It is just the way the body is developed. Uncle?
Yes, Prabhuji. Why I narrated this is, when the prayer is recited, I get emotion.
Yeah, emotion.
Tears comes.
Yeah, emotion is normal. It's what you do with the emotions.
I take a breath and then continue that.
Yeah, so that's not what females do, or some of them. Exactly what Sati does here also. Kalyani?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, here maybe Sati deliberately was using this woman's last weapon weeping, but sometimes, during the disagreements, or if the tears are because of the emotions they are going through, that cannot be always taken as deliberate usage of this weapon. That really hurts it.
Yeah, you are correct. So emotions are okay to have. Not okay, you need to have emotions. We are humans. We are not robots. No, we have to have emotions. But here what Sati is doing is explaining what normal materialistic women, they use weeping or crying to get their wish. And that's exactly what Sati is also trying to do, that when her arguments fail to convince Shiva, that's when she is using the woman's last weapon. Kalyani?
Yeah, I agree with you, Prabhu. As you said that it's a bodily nature, women's definitely emotions will represent the form of tears, and whereas the man, I would say the emotions might be in another form of aggression. So everyone have their own way of expressing that,
Yeah.
and it has to be understood based on the context.
Yeah, you are correct. Okay, very good.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I just had one more question, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, again and again, these thoughts are coming to my mind, like at the, this level of elevation of even Sati and Daksha and all, Prabhu, at that level also they are still connected, have concept to the body, Prabhu.
So understand that, for example, Daksha, yes, he is a Prajapati, he is at an elevated level, but they are not 100% pure devotees. Sati is a different scenario. Sati is a pure devotee. She's just showing us something that how materialistic people live. But demigods, for example, now Prajapati is just, you can say, just little about demigods. But demigods and all these Prajapatis, or there are so many other in administrative positions, they are elevated, but not past the material contaminations to a certain degree. And if you read Bhagavad Gita, 18.40, that everybody is under the control of the modes. Yeah, Shalini, read 18.40 Bhagavad Gita.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I will have to get it, Prabhu. One second. Yes, Prabhu. Bhagavad Gita 18.40 translation. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems which is freed from these three modes born of material nature.
Does that answer?
Yes, Prabhu. But in reality, it's still difficult for me to comprehend at that level, Prabhu.
Yeah, so we have discussed at great length that demigods, yes, they are elevated, but they are still under the control of the modes. Sati is a different story. Sati is a pure devotee. We'll soon realize Shivangi's last week question about who is Sati and who is Parvati. We'll soon read in the purport that how Sati will quit the body and take up the next body of Parvati. Why she is able to do it is because it's a special scenario. Everybody on the same page?
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes.
Verses 3, 4, 5 are straightforward. Shivangi, translations 3, 4, 5.
Hare Krishna, text 3, translation. A fearful black demon as high as the sky and as bright as the three suns combined was thereby created.
Chapter 4.
Oh, sorry. Text 3. Thereafter, Sati left her husband, Lord Shiva, who had given her half of his body due to affection. Breathing very heavily because of anger and bereavement, she went to the house of her father. This less intelligent act was due to her being a weak woman. Text 4. When they saw Sati leaving alone very rapidly, thousands of Lord Shiva's disciples, headed by Maniman and Mada, quickly followed her with his bull Nandi in front and accompanied by the Yakshas. Text 5. The disciples of Lord Shiva arranged for Sati to be seated on the back of a bull and gave her the bird which was her pet. They bore a lotus flower, a mirror, and all such paraphernalia for her enjoyment, and covered her with a great canopy. Followed by a singing party with drums, conch shells, and bugles, the entire procession was as pompous as a royal parade.
All right, so Sati decides by herself to go to Daksha's sacrifice, even though Shiva does not give her permission. Now, part 2 is verses 6 to 10. Title is Sati gets a cold response from Daksha. So, verse 6 describes the purpose of animal sacrifice is not to eat the animal, rather is for Brahmana to test his ability to chant the mantras properly so that the old animal put in the sacrifice gets a new body right away. I'm pretty sure many of you have heard this. So here's a direct reference as to where it's coming from, that Canto 4, Chapter 4, verse number 6. Preeti, verse 6, translation and purport.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. She then reached her father's house where the sacrifice was being performed and entered the arena where everyone was chanting the Vedic hymns. The great sages, brahmanas, and demigods were all assembled there, and there were many sacrificial animals as well as pots made of clay, stone, gold, grass, and skin, which were all requisite for the sacrifice. Purport. When learned sages and brahmanas assembled to chant the Vedic mantras, some of them also engage in arguing about the conclusion of the scriptures. Thus, some of the sages and brahmanas were arguing, and some of them were chanting the Vedic mantras. So the entire atmosphere was surcharged with transcendental sound vibration. This transcendental sound vibration has been simplified in this transcendental vibration. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this age, no one is expected to be highly educated in the Vedic ways of understanding because people are very slow, lazy, and unfortunate. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has recommended the sound vibration Hare Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32. It is also recommended Yagna Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Hi Sumedsa. At the present moment, it is impossible to gather sacrificial necessities because of the poverty of the population and their lack of knowledge in Vedic mantras. Therefore, for this age, it is recommended that people gather together and chant the Hare Krishna mantra to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is accompanied by his associates. Indirectly, this indicates Lord Chaitanya, who is accompanied by his associates, Nityananda, Advait, and others. That is the process of performing yagna in this age. Another significant point in this verse is that there were animals for sacrifice. That these animals were meant for sacrifice does not mean that they were meant to be killed. The great sages and realized souls assembled there were performing yagnas, and their realization was tested by animal sacrifice. Just as in modern science, tests are made on animals to determine the effectiveness of a particular medicine. The Brahmanas are entrusted with the performance of the yagna were very realized souls, and to test the realization, an old animal was offered in fire and rejuvenated. That was a test of a Vedic mantra. The animals gathered were not meant to be killed and eaten. The real purpose of a sacrifice was not to replace a slaughterhouse, but to test a Vedic mantra by giving an animal a new life. Animals were used to test the power of a Vedic mantras, not for meat.
Right, very good. Questions, comments, realizations?
It's a revelation, Prabhuji, for me, particularly the animal sacrifice, why they are hurting the animal, inducing pain. But I now realize that it is giving a new life. That is the purpose of chanting and sacrifice Vedic mantra. Thank you.
And what they do in this sacrifice, or they used to do in the sacrifice, is they will take a very old animal which was anyway about to die. So instead of the animal going through the pain of death, the Brahmanas will use that particular animal to practice their mantras so that the animal gets the new body. Now understand that somebody else who's a teacher of this learning Brahmana will also be there. So if the Brahmana chants the mantra, does some mistake or chants improperly, the higher Brahmana will rectify by chanting it properly so that the animal is not burnt away. The animal still gets the new body. So it's more of a relief for that old animal in this sacrifice. Uncle, does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji, the example of testing an animal as also the medicines, medicine purpose, effectiveness of a particular medicine. They try, which I used to do. And now I realize I used to feel sad, particularly the rabbits in the morning for Vairajam.
All right, very good. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, I'll ask it later. I think it comes up later.
Shalini?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. No, my realization is when we were going through the purport, Prabhu. So two things, very important things are answered here, and it can, help us for explaining to other people who have these questions. One is about meat eating, Prabhu, and the second one is, the Brahmanas who are doing the rituals and other things, Prabhu. What is the significance of that in this Kali Yuga when it's only the Mahamantra?
Okay, very good. Verses 7, 8, 9, 10 are again straightforward verses. Mother Jija, 7, 8, 9, 10 translations.
Text 7. When Sati with her followers reached the arena, because all the people assembled were afraid of Daksha, none of them received her well. No one welcomed her but her mother and sisters, who, with tears in their eyes and with glad faces, welcomed her and talked with her pleasingly. Text 8. Although she was received by her sisters and mother, she did not reply to their words of reception, and although she was offered a seat and presents, she did not accept anything. for her father neither talked with her nor welcomed her by asking about her welfare. Text 9. Present in the arena of sacrifice, Sati saw that there were no oblations for her husband, Lord Shiva. Next, she realized that not only had her father failed to invite Lord Shiva, but when he saw Lord Shiva's exalted wife, Daksha did not receive her either. Thus, she became greatly angry, so much so that she looked at her father as if she were going to burn him with her eyes. Text 10. The followers of Lord Shiva, the ghosts, were ready to injure or kill Daksha, but Sati stopped them by her order. She was very angry and sorrowful, and in the mood she began to condemn the process of sacrificial fruitive activities and persons who are very proud of such unnecessary and troublesome sacrifices. She especially condemned her father, speaking against him in the presence of all. Hare Krishna.
Shivangi.
Nobody, just a question. So she went to the sacrifice because she wanted to spend time with her family, but then she saw that Lord Shiva was not welcomed, and then she switched her focus and became angry. Is that right?
Yeah. So what she saw in here at the sacrifice, that Shiva was not given the share of the sacrifice. So just as any yajna, you would offer everything. So this is not the bhakti yoga yajna, but this is yajna that materialistic people perform. So they will have offerings for respective personalities and demigods. So Sati noticed that the offering for Shiva was not there. Whether or not Shiva is present is a different story. You can still offer and respect. And that's what caused her to become angry. And we'll soon read verse number 10 purport, that how should one respond when Vishnu or Vaishnava is insulted? Shivangi?
So basically, she didn't go there with the intention of being angry. When she left Lord Shiva, she really wanted to be there and see her family and her birthplace again.
Correct.
But then she realized that her father had disrespected Lord Shiva, and then she became angry.
Correct. Both points correct. Yeah. Her intent was just to go and attend, but she got a cold response from Daksha, and then she saw that Shiva is not respected, and that's what she became angry. And that's what the learning is, which we'll soon read in the purport, verse number 10, that when Vishnu or Vaishnava is insulted, what should be our response?
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
So, as we already discussed with Shivangi's question, that present in the arena of sacrifice, Sati saw that there were no oblations, no offering for her husband, Lord Shiva. So to see her relatives, her sister, mother, yes, was important, but was secondary. Even when she was received well by her mother and sisters. But Sati was more concerned that her husband was being insulted in the sacrifice in presence of so many people, so many other personalities. So let's read verse number 10 purport, where Prabhupada describes that how should one respond when Vishnu or a Vaishnava is insulted. Mother Jija, verse 10 purport.
Verse 10 purport. The process of offering sacrifices is especially meant to satisfy Vishnu, who is called Yagnesha, because he is the enjoyer of the fruits of all sacrifice. Bhagavad Gita 5.29 also confirms this fact. The Lord says, Bhaktaram Yagna Tapasam. He is actually beneficiary of all sacrifices. Not knowing this fact, less intelligent men offer sacrifices for some material benefit. To derive personal material benefit for sense gratification is the reason persons like Daksha and his followers perform sacrifices. Such sacrifices are condemned here as a labor of love without actual profit. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. One may prosecute the Vedic injunctions of offering sacrifices and other fruitive activities. But if by such activities one does not develop attraction for Vishnu, they are useless labors. One who has developed love for Vishnu must develop love and respect for Vishnu's devotees. Lord Shiva is considered the foremost personality amongst the Vaishnavas. Vaishnavanam yatha shambhoha. Thus, when Sati saw that her father was performing great sacrifices but had no respect for the greatest devotee, Lord Shiva, she was very angry. This is fitting when Vishnu or a Vaishnava is insulted, one should be angry. Lord Chaitanya, who always preached non-violence, meekness, and humility, also became angry when Nityananda was offended by Jagai and Madhai and he wanted to kill them. When Vishnu or Vaishnavas is blasphemed or dishonored, one should be very angry. Narottam Das Thakura said, Krodha Bhakta Dvesha Jnane. We have anger, and that anger can be great quality when directed against a person who is envious of Supreme Personality of Godhead or is devotee. One should not be tolerant when a person is offensive towards Vishnu or a Vaishnava. The anger of Sati towards her father was not objectionable, for although he was her father, he was trying to insult the greatest Vaishnava. Thus, Sati's anger against her father was quite applaudable. Hare Krishna.
So Shivangi's question got further answered in the purport that when Sati saw that greatest devotee of Vishnu, greatest Vaishnava, Lord Shiva, is insulted, that's when she became angry. And it is the proper approach to take. So one who has developed love for Vishnu must develop love and respect for Vishnu's devotees also. Lord Shiva is considered the foremost personality amongst Vaishnavas. Therefore, when Sati saw that her father was performing great sacrifices but had no respect for greatest devotee Lord Shiva, this is what caused Sati to become angry. And this is fitting that when Vishnu or a Vaishnava is insulted, one should be angry. Example of Lord Chaitanya is described that yes, he preached non-violence, meekness and humility. But Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry when Lord Nityananda was offended by Jagai and Madai. So when Vishnu or a Vaishnava is blasphemed or dishonored, one should be very angry. And we read from Narottam Das Thakur saying that we have anger. So normally we should not use anger. That anger can be a great quality when directed against a person who is envious of the Supreme Lord or his devotee. And one should not be tolerant when a person is offensive towards Vishnu or Vaishnava. And therefore, the anger of Sati towards her father was not objectionable. Although he was her father, he was trying to insult the greatest Vaishnava, and therefore Sati's anger against her father is quite applaudable. Now, although we read and we discussed that should use anger against blasphemers, I still will give a caution that stay away from anger. If you see somebody doing something wrong, blaspheming somebody, a devotee, don't just start using anger, because there's a very fine line whether you are using anger in Krishna's service or whether anger is using you in Maya's service. So if you notice something, bring it to a senior devotee's attention and let the senior devotee handle. Because normally when I become angry, I have no control on what I am talking and what I am doing. Now, this use of anger is not that we have to blaspheme the blasphemer. And this is the continuation of the discussion. We'll continue in this chapter and next chapter, that how first Daksha did a mistake, then Shiva's followers did curses, and then Daksha's followers did counter curses. So this is the learning, that we don't have to do curses and counter cursing. Using anger against blasphemer means that you use your scriptural knowledge in a calm manner to explain to the blasphemer that what they have done is wrong, and they should ask for forgiveness from whom they have blasphemed. And this way, try to bring them closer to Krishna. Using anger does not mean that I will immediately pick up a sword in my hand and have my face and ears and nose red and start shouting. That's not proper use of anger. So you have to be very, very careful with the use of anger, even if it is against blasphemers. Because very fine line, whether you are using anger in Krishna's service or whether anger is using you in Maya's service. Everybody, questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, not exactly about anger, but I just wanted to ask you one more thing. But, when I go to the temple during noon aarti, there are many devotees. It's because they don't know, they're offering obeisances directly by their feet towards Prabhupada. And some of them just sit during the aarti. Some of them are taking selfies. So it's okay to politely let them know, Prabhu?
It depends on the relation.
I mean, they are new people whom I don't know, but
this
younger
is,
people.
This is a major problem. Like what Shalini has noticed, many have noticed that temple authorities don't teach what right or wrong things are. So it's not a black and white answer. You can judge according to a circumstance. Now, visualize that if you go and tell somebody that what they are doing is wrong, and in front of Gopinath, if that person becomes angry, well, that becomes a worse scenario than what they were doing. Right? Say if somebody is just taking a selfie, yes, it is wrong, should not be doing it. But if you go and try to tell that person, don't do it, and that person will say, who are you? And they become angry in front of Gopinath, well, that actually becomes a grave offense. So you have to judge according to circumstances. What I have done in the past, and I have also noticed that many devotees, these newcomers, they just sit when Gopinath doors are open. So instead of telling individually to everybody, what generally I do is I tell everybody as a general. I say everybody should stand and offer obeisances. Instead of telling anybody in particular, if it is only one, that's a different story. But generally you would notice that there are so many who would be just sitting there when Gopinath doors are open. In terms of offering obeisances the wrong way, it again is not a black and white answer. Again, depends on your relation, on what do you perceive that person, is that person aggressive or not? Because he will again say, who are you to tell me? Whether or not he becomes angry by this person simply saying to you, who are you? Well, that itself is an incorrect statement. So yes, Shalini, you have the right intent. What you can do is, you can go and tell them that there are classes going on that can teach you all the do's and don'ts without specifying what they are doing wrong at that point in time, because you don't know what that person will react. But if you tell them there are classes going on which can tell you and teach you the do's and don'ts, hopefully on a go forward basis, they will rectify themselves if they come to classes. But to tell somebody right in the temple room, when I don't have any authority to tell anybody, and I don't know who they are and how or what they will react, is a slippery slope. So we just have to be careful. I'm not saying don't say. If you notice that somebody seems a reasonable person, by all means. But the better approach is tell them there are classes where you can learn do's and don'ts about how to behave in the temple, or how to offer obeisances, how to take darshan. You can explain that in general. Shalini?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
All right. Part 3 is verses 11 to 23. Sati condemns Daksha. Now, these verses in these first 7 chapters, and specifically from here onwards, there are a lot of good qualities of Lord Shiva described in these verses. So if somebody asks you about Shiva, you can always point to them about these verses. Uncle will read verse 11, translation and purport, describes very good qualities of Shiva.
Hare Krishna. Text 11, translation. The blessed goddess said, Lord Shiva is the most beloved of all living entities. He has no rival. No one is very dear to him, and no one is his enemy. No one but you could be envious of such a universal being who is free from all enmity. In Bhagavad Gita 9.29, the Lord says, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, I am equal to all living entities. Similarly, Lord Shiva is a qualitative incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, he has almost the same qualities as the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is equal to everyone. No one is his enemy, and no one is his friend. But one who is envious by nature can become the enemy of Lord Shiva. Therefore, Sati accused her father No one but you could be envious of Lord Shiva or be his enemy. Other sages and learned Brahmanas were present, but they were not envious of Lord Shiva, although they were all dependent on Daksha. Therefore, no one but Daksha could be envious of Lord Shiva. That was the accusation of Sati. Hare Krishna.
So, some qualities described in this verse, that who except you, Daksha, would hate Lord Shiva. And the qualities described are that who has no superior and no rival in this world, to whom no one is dear nor inimical, who is most beloved of all, who is the soul of all beings and is without enmity. So, a lot of points described here. And verse number 12 also describes about the qualities of sadhu and asadhu. Mother Chandra Aunty, verse 12, translation and purport.
Hare Krishna, text 12. Twice one Daksha, a man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. Lord Siva, whoever not only finds no fault with others' qualities, but if someone has a little good qualities, he magnifies it greatly. Unfortunately, you have found fault with such a great soul. Purport also, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Purport. King Daksha is addressed here by his daughter Sati as Divya, twice born. Twice born refers to higher classes of men, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. In other words, a Divya is not an ordinary man, but one who has studied the Vedic literature from a spiritual master and can discriminate between good and bad. Therefore, it is supposed that he understood logic and philosophy. Sati, Daksha's daughter, but before him sounds are arguments. There are some highly qualified persons who accepts only the good qualities of others. Just as a bee is always interested in the honey in the flowers and does not consider the thorns or the colors, highly qualified persons who are uncommon accept only the good qualities of others, not considering their bad qualities, whereas the common man can judge whatever good qualities and whatever bad qualities. Among the uncommonly good souls, there are still gradations, and the best good soul is one who accepts an insignificant asset of a person and magnifies that good quality. Lord Shiva is also called Asudosa, which refers to one who is satisfied very easily and who offers to any person and the highest level of benediction. For example, once a devotee of Lord Shiva wanted the benediction that whatever he touched someone on the head, that person's head would at once be separated from his trunk. Lord Shiva agreed, although the benediction asked was not very condemnable, because the devotee wanted to kill his enemy. Lord Shiva considered the devotee's good quality in worshipping and satisfying him, and granted the benediction. Thus, Lord Shiva accepted his bad qualities as magnificently good qualities. But Sati accused her father, "You are just the opposite. Although Lord Shiva has so many good qualities and no bad qualities at all, you have accepted him as bad as found fault with him because of your accepting his good qualities to be bad instead of your becoming the most exalted soul. You have become the most fallen. A man becomes the greatest soul by accepting the goodness of others' qualities, but by unnecessarily considering others' good qualities to be bad, you have become the lowest of fallen soul. Hare Krishna.
So make some notes about sadhu and asadhu. So in the purport we read that sadhu, like Lord Shiva, finds no faults in others' qualities, but they magnify even meager good qualities in others. But a man like Daksha, you simply find faults even in great souls. Therefore, you are ati sadhu atma. So I will give you can make two columns. One is about sadhu and the opposite about asadhu. I'll give you Sanskrit words which are not directly in the purport that we read. So as I will explain, the purport will become crystal clear that we just read. So first is sadhu. Sadhu accepts even faults in others, since the faults can eventually be transformed into good qualities by certain methods. So yes, the sadhu sees the faults, but then doesn't condemn the faults. He just converts that fault into good qualities. This is a quality of a sadhu. Second is Mahatara. Mahatara overlooks the faults. He only sees good qualities. Then third is Mahatma. Mahatma takes small good qualities and magnifies them and does not see small faults at all. And Ati Mahatma is one who sees good qualities in others where there are none. Everybody with me about the 4 levels of sadhu? Shivangi?
Prabhuji, can you repeat the Sanskrit for the first one?
Well, it's just sadhu. First is sadhu.
For the point, accepts even faults in others.
Okay, I will explain. Okay, sadhu is he accepts even faults in others, since the faults can eventually be transformed into good qualities by certain methods. So sadhu does not ignore the faults, he just converts the faults into good qualities. Shivangi?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Somebody else had a question? All right, now the negative points is our opposite of these 4 levels. So 4 levels are sadhu, Mahatara, Mahatma, and Ati Mahatma. And now the opposite side is asadhu. There's an A in front of sadhu, which is asadhu. Asadhu thinks that someone's good qualities will turn into faults. Then, second is asadhutara. Asadhutara sees faults only overlooking the good qualities. Then the third level is a sadhu atma. A sadhu atma takes small faults and magnifies them, seeing no good qualities at all. And the last is ati asadhu atma, sees only faults in others, even where there are no faults. So this is a good practice for all of us. That by default, my default setting is that I see faults in others and I start criticizing. No, we have to ignore the faults, or at least take the faults and see how it can be converted to good qualities. Best is ignore the faults. Material world is faulty, and you can practice this even, say, among your siblings or anywhere in the material world. You can practice this. It's not just by devotees. It's a matter of developing these qualities. So, very important verse number 12, where Shiva and Daksha's qualities are compared, that even when there are no faults, somebody is seeing faults. Well, that's a problem. Where we should be is we ignore all faults, just look at good qualities, or even if we look at faults, we see how do we convert them into good qualities. Shalini.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, can you just give me tell the Sanskrit for the fourth point, Prabhu? For the asadhu, the negative one.
Yeah, the fourth Sanskrit is ati asadhu atma.
Thank you, Prabhu.
All right. Now, verse number next verse onwards, Sati will counter what Daksha has said earlier. So in Canto 4, Chapter 2, verses 14 and 15, Daksha criticized Shiva's name and conduct as being inauspicious. So here in Canto 4, Chapter 4, verses 13 to 16, Sati counters those statements. So I had explained at the start that these 7 chapters are essentially one whole set of conversations. Just chapters are divided in terms of milestones, but essentially these 7 chapters are one set of conversation. Chandran Prabhu, 13 to 16 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 13 translation. It is not wonderful for persons who have accepted the transient material body as a self to engage always in deriding great souls. Such envy on the part of materialistic person is very good, because that is the way they fall down. They are diminished by the dust of feet of great personalities. Text 14. Sati continued, "My dear father, you are committing the greatest offense by envying Lord Siva, whose very name, consisting of 2 syllables, Si and Va, purifies one of all sinful activities. His order is never neglected. Lord Siva is always pure, and no one but you envies him." Text 15. You are envious of Lord Siva, who is the friend of all living entities within the 3 worlds. For the common man, he fulfills all desires, and because of their engagement in thinking of his lotus feet, he also blesses higher personalities who are seeking after Brahmananda, transcendental bliss. Text 16. Do you think that greater, more respectable personalities than you, such as Lord Brahma, do not know this inauspicious person who goes under the name Lord Siva. He associates with demons in the crematorium. His locks of hair are scattered all over his body. He is garlanded with human skulls and smeared with ashes from the crematorium. But in spite of all these inauspicious qualities, great personalities like Brahma honor him by accepting the flowers offered to his lotus feet and placing them with great respect on their heads. Hare Krishna.
So, first, the dust of a Vaishnava is described as auspicious. That if somebody criticizes, well, then take the dust of a Vaishnava and apply on your head. And she explains some good qualities of Shiva, that Shiva's name purifies anyone's sinful activities. Lord Shiva's order is never neglected. Lord Shiva's fame is pure. Lord Shiva's lotus feet are sought after by both materialist and transcendentalist. And Shiva is all auspicious, even though externally appears as if he is having inauspicious habits. But everyone, including Lord Brahma, consider Lord Shiva to be very auspicious. So far, Sati is giving arguments, and Daksha might argue that Sati is trying to argue with her father, who himself, Daksha himself, is a great Prajapati. And the answer is that Sati was actually defending Lord Shiva. And in reality, Sati should have killed the offender Daksha instead of just arguing. And why Sati does not kill Daksha will come up in upcoming verses. And why she gave up the body as an instead is all coming up. Uncle has a question.
Prabhuji, Brahma, great personalities like Brahma honor him by accepting the flowers offered to his lotus feet. In fact, after Brahma only Lord Shiva was created. So that shows the nobility of Lord Brahma accepting him with great respect. Am I right?
Yeah, you are correct. So understand that I've explained earlier that in these chapters, Shiva, you have to understand whether it's referring to Sadashiva or whether it's referring to the Shiva who's a demigod who is born from Brahmaji. And you are anyway correct that Brahmaji's humility is there, that even though Shiva is born as his son, he is still glorifying Shiva. But of course here it's referring to Sadashiva.
Sadashiva. By the way, Chandran Prabhu very aptly, I think it is Lord Krishna's wish, could read this chapter up to 16, 13 to 16, 12 to 16. His first son's name is Siva.
All right, very good. Very good clarification and correlation. Thank you for sharing. Shalini.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, can you please once again explain the difference between the Shiva born from Lord Brahma and Sadashiva, Prabhu?
So Sadashiva is eternal, and there are three tattvas or three levels. Vishnu tattva or Krishna tattva is the highest. So all Krishna and Krishna's direct incarnations, such as Krishna, Narsimhadev, Rama, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are all at Krishna tattva level or Vishnu tattva level, including Vishnu also is at that level. And then the lowest level is Jiva Tattva, where we all are. Shiva Tattva is the in-between Tattva where only Lord Shiva, single individual, resides, and that is Sadashiva, not the Shiva of material world demigod. No, it's the Sadashiva. The Shiva demigod is also at Jiva Tattva level. Brahmaji is also at Jiva Tattva level. Yeah, pure devotee. Brahmaji is pure devotee. But he is also at Jiva Tattva level. And it's only Sadashiva who is individual at the Shiva Tattva level. So many of the verses and purports to be very careful to read, specifically here in Canto 4, these chapters, that in one sentence, you will see references to both Sadashiva and the material world Shiva without really saying this difference. You have to be very careful in reading. Shalini.
Prabhu, one more thing. Where does Sadashiva reside, Prabhu, in the planetary systems?
So I have shown you that visual earlier. Between material world and spiritual world, there is Brahma Jyoti, and Sadashiva has a planet. Half of that planet is in the spiritual world, therefore it is glowing, and half of that planet is dark because it is in material world, and therefore it is dark. So I have shown you that visual earlier. I don't have it handy right now, but I can show you next class, but I am hoping that helps.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. I can look at it also. Thank you.
All right, let's try to finish this chapter quickly. Now, how to treat a blasphemer or a Vaishnava is described in verse number 17. Okay, I think everybody has read. Mother Jija, 17 and 18 translations.
Text 17. Translation. Sati continued, if one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and controller of religion, one should block his ears and go away if unable to punish him. But if one is able to kill, then one should by force cut out the blasphemer's tongue and kill the offender, and after that one should give up his own life. Text 18. Translation. Therefore, I shall no longer bear this unworthy body which has been received from you who have blasphemed Lord Shiva. If someone has taken food which is poisonous, the best treatment is to vomit. Hare Krishna.
All right, so Daksha blasphemes Shiva, and Daksha happens to be Sati's father. Hence, Sati decides not to kill Daksha, rather, Sati decides to give up her own life. Now, Sati is Lord's external potency or Prakriti. Now, Sati can vanquish many universes, including many Dakshas. But to save her husband Shiva from the charge that Shiva killed Daksha through his wife Sati, therefore Sati gave up her own life. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you please repeat, Prabhu, this one sentence?
So, Sati is Lord's external potency, which is Durga Devi, who's in charge of all material universes as Prakriti. So Sati could have vanished, not just one Daksha. Sati is capable of vanquishing many universes and many Dakshas. But to save her husband Shiva from the charge that Shiva killed Daksha through his wife Sati, hence Sati gave up her own life.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So I did find, for Shalini's question, I did find the visual. I will bring up on screen. So you have seen on the left side, you have seen this, that from Krishna comes Lord Balram, from Balram, Narayan, from Narayan, the first quadruple expansion. Then from Lord Balram comes the first quadruple expansion. Yeah, I will start over again. Ignore what I said earlier. From Krishna comes Balram. From Balram comes the first quadruple expansion. From first Sankarshan is Lord Narayan. From Lord Narayan is the second quadruple expansion. From second Sankarshan is Mahavishnu. From Mahavishnu is Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And from Garbhodakshai Vishnu is Shirodakshai Vishnu, who expands as the Paramatma within all of us. And if you see on the side, the creation cycle, at the bottom is the material world universes, and I will give you the comparison very soon. And this blue is Vaikuntha and this pink is Goloka Vrindavan, and this planet in between. So this line is Brahma Jyoti, and this planet, which is half glowing and half black, is the Sadashiva's planet. So I will show you side by side comparison that this is the material world. And here is Mahavishnu on both sides. And here is Brahma Jyoti. And this is Sadashiva's planet. You see how it's glowing on the screen? And here is Vaikuntha planets, and here is Goloka Vrindavan. Shalini, does that answer?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Yes.
All right. Now, in Canto 4, Chapter 2, verse number 13, Daksha had accused Lord Shiva as not following Vedic rules. To this, Sati responds in here in Canto 4, Chapter 4, verses 19 and 20, that Shiva is actually beyond Vedic rules. Shalini, 19 and 20 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 19. It is better to execute one's own occupational duty than to criticize others. Elevated transcendentalists may sometimes forego the rules and regulations of the Vedas, since they do not need to follow them, just as the demigods travel in space, whereas ordinary men travel on the surface of the earth. Text 20. In the Vedas, there are directions for two kinds of activities. Activities for those who are attached to material enjoyment and activities for those who are materially detached. In consideration of these two kinds of activities, there are two kinds of people who have different symptoms. If one wants to see two kinds of activities in one person, that is contradictory. But both kinds of activities may be neglected by a person who is transcendently situated. Hare Krishna.
21 also, Shalini.
Sorry, Prabhu. Text 21. My dear Father, the opulence we possess is impossible for either you or your flatterers to imagine. For persons who engage in fruitive activities by performing great sacrifices are concerned with satisfying their bodily necessities by eating foodstuff offered as a sacrifice. We can exhibit our opulences simply by desiring to do so. This can be achieved only by great personalities who are renounced, self-realized souls. Hare Krishna.
So, straightforward, she's giving reasons. And now, Sati will say that my body is the source of embarrassment because my body has come from the offender Daksha. And it is this body that is reminding Sati of her connection with Daksha. Therefore, Sati gives up her body. So one reason we already discussed, to protect Lord Shiva from the charge that Shiva used her wife, Shiva used his wife, Sati, to kill Daksha. So that was one reason. And the other reason Sati gives is that that Sati's body is the source of embarrassment because it has come from the offender Daksha. Therefore, Sati decides not to kill Daksha, but to give up her own body. Kalyani, 22-23 translation.
Hare Krishna, 22. You are an offender at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva and unfortunately have a body produced from yours. I am very much ashamed of our bodily relationship and I condemn myself because my body is contaminated by relationship with a person who is an offender at the lotus feet of the Great Personality. Text 23. Because of our family relationship, when Lord Shiva addresses me as Dakshayani, I at once become morose and my jolliness and my smile at once disappear. I feel very much sorry that my body, which is just like a bat, has been produced by you. I shall therefore give it up.
Mm. And we skip reading verse 21 purport. In verse 21 purport, Prabhupada explains that why do Lord Shiva's worshippers sometimes appear more opulent than the worshippers of Lord Vishnu? Basically, Sati offers all kinds of material opulences to the worshippers of Lord Shiva, and therefore it appears that they are opulent. Then the worshippers of Lord Vishnu. In reality, the worshippers of Lord Vishnu are meant for spiritual elevation. Therefore, their material opulence is sometimes found to decrease. So read 21 purport later on by yourself for this point. Rest of the verses from 24 onwards are straightforward. So part 4 is verses 24 to 27, which is Sati gives up her body. So we'll read these verses at a faster pace. Shivangi, 24 to 27 translations. Shalini, 24 to 27.
Text 24. Maitreya the sage told Vidura, O annihilator of enemies, while thus speaking to her father in the arena of sacrifice, Sati sat down on the ground and faced north. Dressed in saffron garments, she sanctified herself with water and closed her eyes to absorb herself in the process of mystic yoga. Text 25. First of all, she sat in the required sitting posture, and then she carried the life air upwards and placed it in the position of equilibrium near the navel. Then she raised her life air, mixed with intelligence to the heart, and then gradually towards the pulmonary passage, and from there to between her eyebrows. Text 26. Thus, in order to give up a body which has been so respectfully and affectionately seated on the lap of Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by great sages and saints, Sati, due to anger towards her father, began to meditate on the fiery air within her body. Text 27. Sati concentrated all her meditation on the holy lotus feet of her husband Lord Shiva, who is the supreme spiritual master of all the world. Thus she became completely cleansed of all taints of sin and quit her body in a blazing fire by meditation on fiery elements. Hare Krishna.
So in verse number 27 purport, Srila Jiva Goswami explains that what type of body did Sati achieve? So Sati is special. Normally, if somebody commits suicide, they remain as a ghost. So example to understand, say if somebody has a lifespan of 85 and he commits suicide at 65 age. So for next 20 years, because his next body is not yet ready, for 20 years he stays as a ghost and he has desires. Therefore, ghosts try to occupy somebody else's body to fulfill their own desires. Now, Sati's committing suicide is not a suicide. because this is actually for higher principles. She did not commit suicide out of frustration. Those people who commit suicide in the material world are committing out of frustration, and therefore it is condemned and have negative results. In terms of what body did Sati achieve, Srila Goswami explains that when Sati quit her body, means she gave up within her heart her relationship with Daksha. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also comments that since Sati is superintendent deity of the external potency, when she quit her body, she did not get a spiritual body, but she simply transferred from the body she had received from Daksha, and she transferred herself into the other body as Parvati. So this is what Shivangi had asked last time, and it's all explained in the purport. And other commentators also say that she immediately transferred herself into the womb of Menka, her future mother, and she gave up the body she had received from Daksha and immediately transferred herself to another better body, which is Parvati. But this does not mean that she got a spiritual body. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? All right. Part 5 is verses 28 to 30. We'll finish in next few minutes. Part 5 is verses 28 to 30. A great cry arises from the sky. Preeti, 28 to 30 translations.
Text 28. When Sati annihilated her body in anger, there was a tumultuous roar all over the universe. Why had Sati, the wife of the most respectable demigod, Lord Shiva, quit her body in such a manner? Text 29. It was astonishing that Dakshu, who was a Prajapati, the maintainer of all living entities, was so disrespectful to his own daughter, Sati, who was not only chaste but was also a great soul, that she gave up her body because of his neglect. Text 30. Daksha, who is so hard-hearted that he is unworthy to be a Brahman, will gain extensive ill fame because of his offenses to his daughter, because of not having prevented her death, and because of his great envy of the Supreme Personality of God. Thank you.
So in verse number 28, purport, Srila Prabhupada explains a principle that what does it mean Sati is giving up her body? Prabhupada explains that one cannot attain complete satisfaction in the material world, even if one is situated in the greatest material opulence. Now, there was nothing Sati could not achieve, either from her relationship with her father or from her relationship with the greatest of personality, Lord Shiva. Still, for some reason, she was dissatisfied. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.6 explains, to achieve real satisfaction, yayatma suprasiddhati, that the body and mind all become completely satisfied if one develops devotional service to the absolute truth. So it's a well-known verse, savai pumsa parodharma, yato bhakti radokshaje. Yayatma suprasiddhati, that when you do bhakti to Krishna, then your Atma is completely satisfied. And the last part are also straightforward verses. Part 6 is verses 31 to 34. Ribhus drive away Lord Shiva's attendants. Sridhar Prabhu are able to read 31 to 34 translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare.
Just 31 to 34, you said, Prabhu?
Correct.
While people were talking among themselves about the wonderful voluntary death of Sati, the attendants who had come with her readied themselves to kill Daksha with their weapons. 32. They came forward forcibly, but Bhrigu Muni saw the danger and offering oblations into the southern side of the sacrificial fire. Immediately uttered mantric hymns from the Yajur Veda by which the destroyers of yagnic performers could be killed immediately. When Bhrigu Muni offered oblations in the fire, immediately many thousands of demigods named Bhrigus became manifested. All of them were powerful, having achieved strength from Soma, the moon. When the Bhrigu demigods attacked the ghosts and Guhyakas with half-burned fuel from the Yagna fire, all these attendants of Sati fled in different directions and disappeared. This was possible simply because of Brahma Tejas Brahminical power. Hare Krishna.
So straightforward. In essence of time, I will give you homework question. There's a very, very important homework question for all of you coming up. So you have many questions to write. Question number 1. What was the purpose of Vedic animal sacrifice? You know what? There are many questions. How about I send you by message? There are 8 questions. I will send you by message to all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, one question for next class I want to discuss right now for next class. For next class, you will read Canto 4, Chapter 5. Is a very short and a very straightforward chapter. It will take you less than 5 minutes to read the chapter. But my homework question for this Chapter 5, the next chapter, is going to make you think and think and think and think for the whole week. So as you read this Chapter 5, have this question in your mind, whether this Chapter 5 makes sense or is there something contradictory. Everybody understands the homework question?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Right.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
I will send you the homework questions. There are 8 in number, and in essence of time, I will message each one of you individually. And this for next class, you just follow what I just described. Very important. It's going to be an eye opener. There's a very practical discussion coming up for Chapter 5. It's only will take less than 5 minutes to read, but very important learning coming up in this chapter. All right, we are past our time. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.